Remember when I made that video calling PS Plus Premium a scam? Yeah, the one where I said Sony is deliberately making you pay a monthly fee just to play PS1 and PS2 games, and I got torched for pointing out how ridiculous that is. I even compared it to how you can run those exact same games at 1080p 60 FPS on a mid-range smartphone using emulators like Dolphin. Meanwhile, Sony, the very company that built the PlayStation 5, says, sorry, it's not possible. And don't even get me started on PS3 games. Oh, the PS3's architecture is just too complex to make it work on the PS5. Seriously? Basement modders have been doing this for years, but the billion-dollar company behind the console can't figure it out? Come on. Well, here we are today with breaking news that's basically Sony's worst-kept secret finally starting to unravel. PS3 emulation on the PlayStation 5 is possible. So here's the deal. Reports are coming in, originally sourced from Tech4Gamers, that the PlayStation 5 has more than enough power to emulate PlayStation 3 games. Now, Sony hasn't officially said anything yet, but we've got some pretty convincing evidence thanks to a YouTuber named Lowest Logan. This guy put together a system using an AMD BC25 processor, a piece of hardware that's very similar to what's inside the PS5. But here's the crazy part. Logan's hardware had 2 CPU cores disabled, meaning it wasn't even running at full power. Despite those limitations, it was able to emulate PlayStation 3 games smoothly, even at native and upscaled resolution. That's right, a stripped-down version of PS5-level hardware was capable of pulling this off. So imagine what a fully optimized PS5 could do with Sony's own resources and expertise behind it. You know what's funny? I already know the kind of comments I'm going to see after this. Oh, look at you, the defender of Sony, suddenly calling them out. Or my personal favorite, what happened to blindly defending Sony, huh? From Sony pony to Xbox defender overnight. It cracks me up every time. And honestly, it's nothing new. Every time I've criticized Sony or PlayStation, those same comments show up. But here's the thing, I've always called Sony out when they deserve it, and I'll keep doing it. At the same time, I also cover all the good news about PlayStation and the PS5. People just can't seem to wrap their heads around that, and I'll tell you why. Here's what I've realized. People want you to pick a side and stick to it no matter what. They want you to either blindly defend a company or blindly attack everything it does. There's no middle ground for some people. If you dare criticize Sony, suddenly you're an Xbox fanboy. If you praise a good move from PlayStation, you're a corporate shill. That's not how this works. I always say, true reporting isn't about being loyal to one side or another. It's about telling the truth, whether it's good or bad. If Sony does something great, I'll praise it. If they pull something ridiculous, like making excuses about PS3 backwards compatibility, I'll call them out. This all or nothing mentality is part of what's wrong with gaming culture today. It's too politicized. Are you Team PlayStation or Team Xbox? Are you with us or against us? That mindset shuts down honest conversations and meaningful critiques. The gaming world has been blindsided. Christopher Barrett, a 25-year veteran of Bungie and one of the creative forces behind Halo, Destiny, and the upcoming Marathon, has dropped a lawsuit that reads like a blockbuster script. Wrongful termination, defamation, and a staggering $200 million claim. The lawsuit, filed on December 12, 2024, accuses Bungie and its parent company, Sony Interactive Entertainment, of orchestrating his dismissal to dodge nearly $50 million in equity payments. At the heart of the case lies an explosive mix of misconduct allegations, claims of a flawed investigation, and a studio seemingly struggling to deliver after its $3.6 billion acquisition by Sony. Barrett's suit paints a picture of betrayal, corporate backstabbing, and a desperate attempt to scapegoat him as Bungie's financial troubles and creative missteps came to a head. Meanwhile, Sony and Bungie face mounting questions. Was Barrett's firing a calculated business move or part of a deeper reckoning with workplace misconduct? What began as whispers of internal chaos has erupted into a legal and reputational firestorm, one that threatens to reshape not only Bungie's future, but also the gaming industry's handling of its most powerful creatives. Barrett's firing occurred against the backdrop of significant turmoil within Bungie. Marathon, Bungie's highly anticipated extraction shooter, faced repeated delays and mounting development costs. Barrett claims that following his reassignment as franchise game director, the new leadership stripped Marathon of core elements he championed, decisions that were later criticized by the gaming community, layoffs, and financial struggles. In late 2023 and early 2024, Bungie laid off a substantial portion of its workforce, citing underperformance and budgetary concerns. Barrett argues that Bungie and Sony used his termination as a way to scapegoat him for these larger organizational failures, shifting public blame while avoiding financial obligations. Barrett's legal demands are huge: $45.5 million for unpaid retention payments plus interest, $100 million in defamation damages, citing harm to his reputation and career. Punitive and exemplary damages matching the $45.5 million figure and reinstatement to his former role as franchise game director at Bungie. If successful, the lawsuit could have profound financial and reputational consequences for Bungie and Sony. In a statement posted to social media, Barrett expressed his frustration over the events of the past year. The past 9 months following my departure from Bungie have been very difficult and painful for me, as I've had to endure rampant speculation, unfounded attacks on my reputation, and innuendo about what happened behind the scenes to cause me to be fired after 25 years of loyal service. I want to thank everyone who has been there for me. Here's an interesting news that just broke from Insider Gaming. Xbox owners could be getting their hands on more PlayStation-exclusive games in 2025. Sources have told Jez Corden from Windows Central that there will be more unannounced and previously PlayStation-exclusive games coming to Xbox Series next year. News of PlayStation exclusives coming to Xbox shouldn't surprise anyone. Over recent years, both sides have continued to release games on the competing platforms. Recently, Genshin Impact finally made its debut on Xbox after being console exclusive to PlayStation since 2020. Another PlayStation exclusive, Predator Hunting Grounds, released on Xbox in 2024 after 4 years as a Sony exclusive. Now here's the funny part, I didn't even know that Genshin Impact is a PS5 exclusive. And Hounding Grounds? Have you played Hunting Grounds? As of now, it's unclear if Corden is referring to first-party or third-party games making their way to Microsoft's consoles. On the other side of the coin, Microsoft is bringing exclusives like Indiana Jones and The Great Circle to PlayStation 5 in 2025. There are also rumored plans for Forza Horizon 5 to make its way to the console as well. So is this the end of console exclusive? Far from it. I highly doubt that Sony will ever port Horizon or Naughty God exclusives over to Xbox. While PlayStation is giving Xbox games nobody asked for, Xbox is giving Sony their creme de la creme. And you know my stance on the whole Xbox thing. I truly think that what they should do or done is keep Indiana Jones 100% exclusive to Xbox, meaning no PC, no PS5 release. Do the same for Halo and Forza, have at least 5 major exclusives, and I'm sure in time people would start buying Xbox again. You know how the Switch 2 hype has been building like crazy lately? Well, now we've got yet another leak, and this one's giving us a good look at what's to come. Steering wheels, controller grips, the works. It's all from a Chinese wholesale site called Global Sources, where a third-party company named MTM Industrial Ltd has listed accessories specifically designed for the Switch 2. And while they aren't official Nintendo products, stuff like this usually comes from credible design specs, so it's hard not to take notice. First up are the steering wheels. They're colorful, kid-friendly, and fit comfortably for adults too, with butterfly-shaped buttons for extra comfort. Then there are the new controller grips, which have anti-slip textures, proper LED indicators, and a more traditional feel for the Joy-Cons. Both accessories match up with previous leaks we've heard about the updated Joy-Cons, including that mysterious C button everyone's been speculating about. What makes this even more interesting is the timing. This leak comes right as rumors are picking up that Nintendo is planning to announce the Switch 2 in January 2025. Multiple insiders, including journalist Chris Dring, have said there's chatter pointing to an early New Year reveal. And with Nintendo already confirming that they'll talk about the console before March 2025, a January announcement feels about right. On top of that, there are whispers that the Switch 2 might already be sitting in warehouses, ready to sell. Over a year after its initial release, Alan Wake 2 continues to receive regular updates to further improve players' experience across all platforms. Alan Wake 2, Update 1.2.7 introduces various quality of life improvements and visual enhancements. Most notably, it optimizes the game for the PS5 Pro, adding a new balanced graphics mode combining PS5 Pro quality mode settings, including ray tracing with performance mode resolution. The performance and quality modes also got a boost, with Alan Wake 2 slightly adjusting the visual settings of these modes to achieve a more consistent frame rate and a less noisy image. On top of these visual enhancements, Remedy Entertainment added an option to enable or disable PSSR. Ouch, Sony. Besides the PS5 Pro improvements, this update also fixes some minor issues affecting gameplay, especially in the Lake House expansion. Alan Wake 2's second DLC, The Lake House, is one of the best video game DLCs of 2024. The story follows Federal Bureau of Control FBC agent Kiran Estevez as she investigates the Lake House, a secret FBC facility where some experiments went wrong. This expansion not only brings a new story and setting to discover, but it also adds additional enemies called the Painted, which lurk in the shadows shadows and cannot be stopped by either bullets or light. Alan Wake 2 isn't the only game to receive updates for Sony's latest console. Over 50 games have been optimized for the PS5 Pro, taking advantage of the console's enhanced graphics and performance capabilities. The Wulong PS5 Pro patch is here, and while it improves some things, it's far from groundbreaking. The highlights? A fixed 30 FPS mode and a new 40 FPS mode for 120Hz displays. Both are much-needed upgrades, especially the fixed 30 FPS mode, which replaces the frustrating unlocked mode that hovered between 30 and 40 FPS. The 40 FPS option is smoother and more responsive, making it the best way to play, but let's not overhype it. Visually, the PS5 Pro brings slightly higher resolutions across all modes, with PSSR now powering the quality and balanced modes. This helps deliver cleaner and more stable visuals, but it's not perfect. There's a bit of noise in the image, though it's far from the worst we've seen in PSSR implementations. Unfortunately, the 60 FPS mode isn't true 60 FPS. It uses frame generation, resulting in noticeable input lag that makes it feel sluggish compared to the more responsive 40 FPS option. Performance-wise, the fixed 30 FPS mode is rock solid, and the new 40 FPS mode holds up well in most cases. However, on the base PS5, occasional stutters in the balanced mode could still occur due to the lack of VRR. And while the 60 FPS mode technically works, its input lag makes it a tough sell for gameplay that relies on precision. Visually, the PS5 Pro version does bring slightly higher resolution across all three graphic modes compared to the base PS5. In motion, the quality and balanced modes look a bit smoother on the Pro thanks to PSSR. Yes, PSSR is here, but only in the quality and balanced modes. It's not used in the 60 FPS performance mode. And while the PSSR implementation here is decent, it's not perfect. There's no flickering or shimmering like we've seen in some other games, but there's a bit of noise or film grain in the image, particularly in the quality and balanced modes. It's not deal-breaking, but it's something you'll notice if you're paying attention. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth director admits to trophy mistake and promises a fix for Part 3. Despite Final Fantasy VII Rebirth being a massive hit among fans and critics alike, earning an impressive 92 out of 100 on Metacritic, the game's director, Naoki Hamaguchi, has opened up about a key piece of fan feedback that he plans to address in the trilogy's upcoming finale. While the game's expansive world, gripping story, and polished gameplay were widely praised, one particular gripe left some PlayStation players frustrated: the Platinum Trophy. Speaking to the Daily Star, Hamaguchi acknowledged that the difficulty and grind required to achieve the Platinum Trophy on PS5 were missteps. For avid trophy hunters, Rebirth's Platinum was criticized for being excessively time-consuming and in some cases downright tedious. Hamaguchi didn't shy away from taking responsibility, stating that he's heard the feedback loud and clear and won't be repeating this mistake in Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. I quote, "I think there is one other thing actually, which I can say was a mistake on my part, something that I've already apologized for, and I definitely will not do again, which is how difficult I made it to get the Platinum Trophy," Hamaguchi admitted. So rest assured, I have learned from that, and in future, I will not be making Platinum Trophies that difficult. What's next for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3? While Hamaguchi's acknowledgement of the Platinum Trophy issue is a welcome sign of responsiveness to fan feedback, details about the upcoming Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 remain scarce. Aside from being the final entry in this ambitious trilogy, Square Enix has yet to reveal the game's official title or launch window. What we do know is that Square Enix appears determined to deliver the trilogy's conclusion sooner rather than later. To speed up development, the publisher has confirmed that it will not be releasing DLC for Rebirth, ensuring all resources are focused on Part 3. For now, fans can look forward to a more streamlined trophy experience in the next installment, along with the high expectations set by the first two entries in the series. If you want to be ahead of all the gaming leaks and news, specifically PlayStation news, time for you to subscribe. And as always, a like on the video is very much appreciated.